Hi everyone, I'm Shelly from There's No Place Like Home at redheadmom8.wordpress.com. As homeschooling moms, a lot of times I think that we can really get carried away in trying to give our kids what we consider to be a quality education. We take a look at those schools down the street and we think to ourselves, oh, well, they're spending 6, 7 hours a day teaching, so we probably should do that too. It's just not true. Another reason that we might end up doing marathon homeschooling days is spending way too much time on Pinterest because, hey, there's a heck of a lot of nice stuff there. But you don't need to do everything in order to give your kids the quality education that they deserve. I'm going to give you some tips today on shortening your homeschooling days while keeping quality in them. Because it's not only going to help you, it's going to help your kids too. It's going to help you both to avoid burnout and to avoid being overwhelmed by spending way too much time on something that you really don't need to. So my first tip for you is to keep your lessons short. You don't need to spend 45 minutes to an hour doing math or grammar or any such thing. If you think about it, sometimes you might see your kids' eyes glazing over once they spend a certain amount of time doing something, and can you really blame them? I think even we adults have a hard time sitting still doing things that we really don't want to do. So when you keep their lessons to about 10 to 20 minutes, maybe 5 minutes for younger kids, you're helping them in that they can actually remember the things that you're teaching to them, and you're not wasting time by tacking on extra things at the end that are probably not going to impact them very much. So that's my first tip for you. Just keep your lessons short. My second tip is you don't have to teach every subject every day. I know that's a trap that a lot of us fall into, but you really don't have to. Life is not broken into subjects. It is completely integrated. So you need to remember that even though you might not be cracking open your science book for the day, your social studies book or even your math may have covered a scientific concept. And you know what? Even when your kids are not doing their homeschooling lesson, you have to remember that kids are curious. They're out there all the time, watching nature shows or digging in the dirt with worms. That is the way to learn science. You don't need to do everything through a textbook. So try to keep that in mind. It's okay if you go, even if you say spend 2 weeks learning about ancient Egypt and you don't even one time mention science, it's going to balance itself out, because what could happen is you might end up doing a geology unit study then, and you might not have much history being taught at that time, but you've got a lot of science going on. Life balances itself out. Things do not have to be separated all the time, so you don't have to teach everything separately, and you don't have to teach it every day. And that's actually going into my third tip. You don't have to teach them separately. You don't need a separate textbook for every single subject. A great way to do that is through living books. For example, if you're reading a biography to your child, you are not only covering history. Depending on who you're reading about, you may cover science, you may even cover math, and you can use that biography to do copy work. Right there's language arts. So instead of doing 4 or 5 separate textbooks, you've got all of those subjects wrapped up into that one living book. I'm actually going to leave a link at the bottom in the comments section where I actually wrote about how we use living books and notebooking. I think I actually called it read alouds and notebooking in our homeschool because it is such a time saver. There's no need to teach things separately. So remember these 3 things. Keep your lessons short. You don't have to teach every subject every day, and you don't have to teach everything separately. So tune in next week for some more tips. Thanks a lot for visiting.